Kamilla Cardoso's rookie debut game on Saturday against the Indiana Fever left me extremely impressed in a multitude of contexts of the game. And the thing that maybe stood out most to me in particular was the defensive versatility for her. You can call it kind of lazy eye for me and just kind of getting used to seeing her defending a particular scheme while she was at South Carolina, just based off of the things that the college game demands, et cetera, et cetera. But looking at her in her professional debut and seeing how comfortable she was defending out in space really stood out to me. So I want to just kind of dive into a couple of reps where she was doing so, in addition to some other things on defense, and just the display of defensive versatility that she put on film, I think is really impressive. A game that was lost by the Chicago Sky by 71-70. She was a game best plus 11. And that's not just an arbitrary number. There's certainly context to that, because in multiple pockets of the game, the Chicago Sky was certainly their best when she was on the floor, because of what she brings on the defensive end as well as the offensive end. And we're going to be looking at, in particular on the defensive end, how she just adds to everything that they've already established and even makes it a little bit more unique just because of the size that she infuses everything that they're doing defensively with. In addition to her 11 points, she also had 6 rebounds and was 5 of 7 from the field. So all of those things being said, let's just dive into the film. A relatively quick film session here, just kind of looking at Kamilla's defensive efforts and the film she put out and the versatility that's come from it. So we're going to be seeing her in pick and roll here, defending against Caitlin Clark late at the end of the first quarter. This is her very first shift. So we're going to be seeing Katie Lou Samuelson coming in to set the screen for Caitlin Clark. And it's this particular point right here where Kamilla didn't have to venture this close to the three-point line and potentially even north of the three-point line too often while she was at South Carolina. But seeing her be so comfortable venturing from this point right here where she spent a lot of time in college to comfortably getting up to the level of the screen and being able to execute in different schemes based off of whatever demand over the course of the game that they had for whatever defensive scheme they were in is important to note. And I think there's a lot of value in that, again, because of her size and because of her versatility. Being able to have her as a chess piece to move around the board past just being in the paint and in rim protection is going to be important. And obviously, she's not having anything directly happening in this particular possession. But seeing her be able to just get up to this point and just enter the mind of Caitlin Clark and get the ball out of her hands, job well done there. That's her task in this particular scheme for this particular moment in the game. Sky going to end up getting a shot clock violation to end this first quarter. And now going back to the defensive end in the second half now. This point right here from sideline out of bounds from the Indiana Fever, this point right here really stands out to me because it really speaks to her composure, her understanding of scheme, her understanding of her teammates, and just her general feel for defense. A lot of rookie bigs in this scenario with Kelsey Mitchell, an all-star guard, going to her strong hand, see her driving downhill, will overreact to the ball to the extent that they overcommit, overhelp, and naturally open up an opportunity for the trail behind cut from Aaliyah Boston to get into soft touch floater range or to be able to play off of her pivots the way that she does with her sticky footwork around the post. But Kamilla and her composure, like I said, her feel on defense, understanding the scenario, seeing that Kennedy did a great job navigating that screen, is still attached to the hip, and she's even with Kelsey Mitchell. Even to the point that where Kamilla doesn't have to overcommit and fully step over to cut off this drive, and being able to trust that Kennedy is going to be able to get back in position, which is exactly what she does. And by way of that, and allowing for Kennedy to do her job and not trying to overhelp and not trying to overstep and do too much on defense, they're able to keep their defensive shell intact, and Kamilla can stay in position to then defend Aaliyah Boston, who naturally is going to get the ball once Kennedy Carter is able to cut off this drive from Kelsey Mitchell. This is really good, really important in process, just seeing how she's feeling out on defense. And then as we see things kind of spray back out, they keep the shell intact like I mentioned, and then we're going to see them just kind of floating around trying to find an advantage to create. Kamilla's going to do a good job here giving that gap space for Dana Evans to navigate through the handoff to Erica Wheeler. And now we're going to see her getting into her post defense, which is somewhere she's going to be elite off the rip and ascending. So we see her in the post with Aaliyah Boston, and we're going to pay attention on the entry pass, where she initially sets up shop at and where the catch is ultimately going to take place. A good 3 feet from where she sets up shop. And this is important. Kamilla is really good with pushing the catch point for players' post touches away from where they initially post up. She's a hard to move player in terms of trying to establish position for any type of post up, whether it's a post up on a traditional block or a post up in isolation like here in the mid post area. And then we're going to see Kamilla doing a good job just containing the ball. Got here just a little bit with the pump fake, KG pump fake to break the rhythm from Aaliyah Boston. But look at Kamilla's defensive versatility and ability to slide and be an athlete in space. Slide and contain, still able to get up a solid contest on the ball, and being able to do all of these things without fouling. Forces a fadeaway from Aaliyah Boston with 2 feet in the paint, 1 foot in the restricted area. This is really, really good post defense here. Now, you would like for her to grab this rebound. Nonetheless, we're going to see why this is an important clip to watch, because as we see a repost here from Aaliyah Boston, see her ultimately end up, because of the pressure from Kamilla, I talked about her pushing the catch point up. Aaliyah sets up shop. She's got 1 foot in the paint originally. And then we see Kamilla being able to push that catch point up 1, 2, 3, almost 4 steps, to the extent that where Kelsey Mitchell doesn't even want to make this pass to Aaliyah Boston on a reset to 14 seconds on the clock. And she's ultimately going to elect to try to drive the post based off of the pressure being put on from Kamilla Cardoso. And look at the activity and versatility here. Kelsey elects to go to the drive. And look at Kamilla able to slide her feet, cut off the baseline drive, keep Kelsey Mitchell from turning the corner. And then watch the rotation here to Aaliyah Boston to get back. She's so good on this rotation that Isabel Harrison, who is looking to help her out and help the helper, has to ultimately just go back to guarding her original matchup in Alyssa Smith on this dive cut. And they keep the defensive shell intact yet again. These little things for Kamilla are just so valuable in everything that they're looking to establish on defense. And she was certainly up to the task in her first game. Now just imagine what this is going to look like when she's truly in rhythm. Nonetheless, looking at her finishing off this possession, they try to flow into a next action. Aaliyah Boston is going to keep it this time, faking the handoff DHO with Kelsey Mitchell. We're going to see Alyssa Smith respace as we see Aaliyah Boston work back to the mid-post area. And also want to make sure we note at this point where she fakes this dribble handoff, there's only 4 seconds left on the shot clock. And just watch Kamilla finish off this possession here. It's just such textbook defense. And I'm just going to kind of let this one flow through. You can watch it all happen in real time so that you can assess and you can really see her multiple efforts and the impact on this defensive possession from her. That's just so good. That is so good. She's so far ahead of the curve for just rookie defenders, especially in the front court in particular. There's a heavy demand, especially with how many dynamic guards and dynamic posts that there are in the W now. She's just up to the task and then some. And then on this possession, this is maybe the most impactful, most effective, the one that stands out most. And you see, obviously, the Fever getting into another late clock scenario. And now she's up to the level of the screen again. And look at her being able to just contain Caitlin Clark just enough. And then she's ultimately going to be able to see Kennedy Carter as well as Isabel Harrison get into their rotation strongly. But it's the ability for, again, Kamilla to venture from being at that free throw line area of the floor to being able to be up at the level of the screen early and just so comfortable moving out in space like this. Caitlin's able to eventually break contain, and she's going to be better with this as she gets more reps. But just, again, her ability to get this far away from the basket and to even force this retreat dribble, job's done here. Once she gets this retreat dribble, they're just looking to kind of get the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. And as she is able to break containment and get downhill, they're already in their support and protection positions to force the ball out of her hands. And it's a rotation that Kennedy Carter can anticipate, which is exactly what she does. And she's able to get up a solid contest on Erica Wheeler's attempt, again, late at the third quarter this time. Job well done from the Sky to get a stop before going on a couple of runs in the fourth quarter. And this is the true plot of this entire film session. By far the best rep doing so, and it's the spontaneity that comes with it as well. The element of surprise in a sense. You're going to see Caitlin Clark getting the ball back from Kelsey Mitchell off the dribble handoff from sideline out of bounds. That's immediately going to flow into a pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston. And this is why this rep is just stands out most to me. Look at where Kamilla is initially. A lot of times she's been in South Carolina, was around this free throw line area of the floor. Sees that Caitlin Clark's getting the ball on the move, going to a strong hand. Look at how she's able to sprint up and get into this lateral defensive coverage and just a flat hedge and the angle that she's able to take. Last time we saw her with Caitlin Clark, she was able to get that retreat dribble, and then Caitlin was able to gain leverage going downhill to her right hand, attacking the wide hip, going towards that strong sideline of Kamilla Cardoso. Now on this rep, look at the adjustment. And this is even more dynamic of a touch for Caitlin Clark, because look at the tempo at which she's moving. And look at how Caitlin is eventually flattened out by the pressure on ball from Kamilla, the element of surprise from Kamilla, and the ability to put pressure on the ball. The flat hedge really literally flattens out everything. She's getting ready to turn the corner right here. Sees Kamilla flying up to the level of the screen. And look at the angle taken. She's just such a good athlete with her feet and her lateral mobility in space. And that ability to slide and contain the guard as dynamic as Caitlin Clark is, going to her strong hand. It just speaks leaps and bounds to the impact that Kamilla can have on defense. Again, defending to scheme and being able to be scheme versatile, in addition to being able to take advantage of her size, not just around the basket, but also in space. Completely takes away the look to the roller. When I had to Dana Evans for the great rotation that she's making and helping the helper for Kamilla while she's applying pressure to the ball. And then in addition to that, also want to make sure we shout out to Kennedy Carter. Playing two on the second side, trying to anticipate where that next pass is going so she can be there on the catch. She sees the pressure being applied to the ball. She knows that because of Kamilla's stature, there's no way Caitlin's going to be able to skip this pass to the corner for Erica Wheeler. Kennedy, like a free safety in football, is able to shoot this gap, anticipating the pass topside to Kelsey Mitchell, and want to also, in buying time for Kennedy to make this rotation, give a hat tip to Marina Mabry, as she does a great job in addition to Kamilla with putting pressure on the ball, making Caitlin uncomfortable, forcing this turnover. And then just look at Kennedy putting on the jetters and being able to get this steal like a free safety for the pick six at a crucial juncture in the game. And if we're just going to let this last play break down or flow through undeterred, so you can kind of see it all happening in real time based off of everything that we had a conversation on in this film session. And just appreciate all of the pieces in play here, but especially Kamilla, because everything is kept intact because of what she's able to do on the ball. It's going to be really exciting to see this Chicago Sky team defend with her on the floor.